What's up, Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. I'm excited. You know why? Because I'm going to show you how to turn all of this and this into this. All right, y'all, this is that time of the year where everybody is out doing their thing. It's spring, it's off and running, and you're thinking about the fertility. And most of you, many of you that are watching this, are probably going to go to the store and go buy your typical fertilizer. But I'm going to show you how to keep it popping and popping, especially at a time on this planet where things are touch and go. You're not sure. Remember just a few years ago, you couldn't find all that nitrogen-based fertilizer? Well, I'm going to show you today how we don't even rely on that stuff. By using simple materials like what I got over there, which is basically some spent hay, a little bit of straw, leaving some wood chips. Right here, I'm just going to spin around. And right over here, we got, this came from Ben and Denise at Renewed Homestead. This came out of their chicken house. And then we got some thicker stuff over here. We don't use a whole lot of it, but we got some of that. Now, follow me out here. Now, keep in mind, this is our junk area. Everybody on every farm, if you know that they're serious, everybody has a junk area. So don't be embarrassed about it, because I'm not. Over here is a combination of grass clippings and basically weeds and stuff that we couldn't really do much else with. Over here, we got a bottle baby that we're dealing with right now, and he's pooping on and peeing on this stuff every day. So we got this. We got a tarp over there, a couple of them. And right over here, we got some straw, all of it not sprayed. We got some leaves that I've been hoarding a while back. And then over there in those buckets far over there, we got a combination of, we got a whole ecosystem of poop over there. Everything from cows to sheep, rabbits, chickens, a little bit of all of it. And then over here, we got a little bit where it's a combination of wood chips and poop. Now, in each one of these carbon buckets, you can't tell it right now, but I'll demonstrate. I basically wet all this stuff up. Now, before I get going, I want to tell you, I want to give a hat tip to all the people that really pushed my compost making onto another level. Those people being Dr. Elaine Ingham. A lot of this method is part of hers. But also we're going to, as this unfolds, we're going to use methods from people like Stefan Subkowiak. When I was up in Canada a little while back, he showed me a little trick that was off the chain. A little thing we got from Jeff Lawton, and also my man Eric Sider, and my son also, who's actually quite good at compost making. So this is a combination of a bunch of different people. We don't do a whole lot of really original stuff around here. If anything's original, it's our ability to cut and paste all the best stuff from all these wonderful people and to put it into a system that works. So now that we got everything here, I'm going to drain off the water on this, and I'm going to show you how we put this together. First up, this here is about halfway full with water, and it wicked up to most of this. So before I even get hopping and popping, I'm just going to take a lid and I'm just going to drain it off. And we're going to drain off as much of it as we possibly can. And I'm going to go through all of these buckets over here and drain off every bit of it. And then I'm going to show you what the ratios are, because it's really not that difficult. You are going to have some failures. You're going to have some tough things that don't seem to want to work out for you. But you just do it over and over and over again. Like I said, we're in times where you can't necessarily rely, and I would dare say you shouldn't rely on any of those things, because all of that store-bought stuff it's an input that you're going to constantly have to do. These are gifts that keep on giving. We do the right things. The organisms in here that make this stuff powerful, they stick around a while. All right, so that one's done. Now let's move on to the rest of these. You don't need to watch all that. Then we're going to show you what the components are to hold all this. Okay, here are the components, and it's simple, y'all. I got a pallet where I took some hardware cloth, stuck it on top of here, and basically stapled it down there. Nothing fancy. Over here, I'm just basically using what I have on hand. You could use any number of things. Over here, I got some welded wire, and on the outside of it, I basically put some hardware cloth. So this is essentially going to go on top of that, and we're doing 40 bucket compost on this one. It could be 30, but I never go less than 30, because as a golden rule, some people do it in smaller batches, but you're always going to have, the microbes are going to work better for you if you can somehow keep this thing at least 30. I do it in increments of 10, so it's either 30, 40, or 50. We're going to do 40 today, and I'm going to show you how we lay all that out. But these are the essential components. So at this point, we can basically take all this stuff, if we wanted, and just throw it right in that cage and layer it. But we find that it works so much better using Dr. Lane's method, where we basically mix it all. This is a 40 bucket pile. So it's better to break it down in the 10s on this tarp, mix it up here, then stick it in. And trust me, I've done this so many times that I've done it both ways, and it works so much easier this way because everything heats evenly, way more evenly. But it works almost as good the other way. The only thing is, when it comes to flipping, you're going to spend time trying to sort things out. It's a little bit easier this way. So what we're using, because of the time of year we're in, it's spring. Everything has high octane in it because it's growing. So there's a lot of energy in there and the nitrogen. So what we're using, instead of a 50-50 split of carbon and nitrogen, we basically have a 60-30-10 split. And the way that works is 60% carbon, which in this batch right here is got some leaves, some wood shavings, along with a little bit of chicken poop, and then straw that wasn't sprayed. This is our manure, so that's our 10%. This is why the bucket thing is so much easier to get your gauge right as far as how much you need. And so we're going to need 30% of the high. I got 4 buckets here, but I'm only going to use 3. So we got basically everything from scraps, mowed yard clippings. It doesn't even matter. It's green and it's high octane this time of year. But right here, this is really the star of the show. Look, y'all, when we talk about comfrey, there's a reason why we sell this stuff, and there's a reason why I say it's so awesome. Animals eat it, but also the microbes eat it, and this is really, really good stuff to get this pile kicking. Plus, all the wonderful things that have bioaccumulated in those leaves are now going to be in my pile. So we're going to do a bunch of other tricks. So right now, it's really this simple. Taking all of this stuff, I drained off all the water on everything, including the poop. And I usually start out with a couple of bits of carbon. So that was leaves. This is a combination of a little bit of everything carbon. Now I'm going to go over here. It's all going to get mixed up anyway. It's easier to mix this stuff on the front end. So we'll get it out of here. And it makes it so much easier. We got a little bit of mullein in here too. How about that? So now, this is where I usually put on my rubber gloves. There's a little bit of that 10%. And now all I'm going to do is repeat this process, and then we're going to flip it. All right, that's 10 buckets right here. Now, I do this, I've kind of devised my own way of doing this after a while. And if I'm doing it by myself, which sometimes I do, I got Michelle out here helping when she's not filming. I just kind of pull this one as far as I can go till I get to about the edge. Lay this down, then do the same thing. Now, all I'm going to do at this point, get a hold of it, and I'm going to shake it out on this side of the mat. Didn't take much, but it's all mixed up. Now we want to check for moisture. So you want to check in multiple places. I should be able to take a handful, squeeze it, and get a drop of water out. That one's dry. Dry. Try multiple spots. It's dry, so we need some water. You probably can't see it, but it's coming out between my fingers. So this is pretty good. Now, it's just a matter of sticking it in that cage. All right, round 2, repeating the same process. Well, what we got left in this bucket is basically some food scraps, and that's part of your nitrogen as well. Look, this is the only area in my life where I can endorse diversity, equity, and inclusion, because the greater that is, the greater microorganisms are going to be brought to the table. So we'll get this mixed up, and this will be round 2. This is number 3. All right, I'm about to throw batch number 3 in here, but before then I got a trash bag, and in it I got a frozen baby lamb. He just didn't make it. His little body just kind of gave out. But just like in the words of Jeff Lawton, if it lived, it can live again, and it's going to do it right through this pile. So it's going to be given, I think, the best send-off you could possibly do, in the highest respect you could pay for an animal that didn't make it. I'm not going to show you this part, but just understand that he is about to be in this pile. Round 4, last one. All right, the only thing left to do is take this Rio Temp thermometer. Everybody's always wondering which thermometer I'm using. It's a stainless. I got a couple of them that are 3 feet long, some that are one that's 4 foot long. And you want it stainless because you don't want it hitting certain things and busting it up. Plus, you can calibrate these suckers with the little thing on the back. So that's another video altogether. But anyway, I want to get it about halfway. So I know about right there, I'm going to find halfway. Get it in the middle of my pile. Right about there. Now, in this method, I mean, unlike the Berkeley method where I wouldn't be so concerned, there's certain markers and stuff, but temperature wouldn't be as big a concern. We got certain benchmarks that I cover on Patreon that you want to hit before you flip this. And yeah, so if you want to get more in depth, I got a whole series over there on Patreon for as little as $1. But it's too heady typically for most YouTube videos. But anyway, all the what for and how to and all that good stuff is over there. But right here, what I want to point out is that once we hit a certain benchmark, okay, we're going to take this, the top's going to come off, we're going to take the middle, put it on the bottom of the new pile. Look, the cool thing about this method is I'm only going to have to flip it essentially 3 times before we wind up with some seriously finished compost. And this is going to cook down. I might do a subsequent video, but right here is where it is. When it cooks down, it's probably going to be about right here. So, yeah, this is essentially it. Now, all we're going to do at this point is take this tarp that we were just using a moment ago, and we're going to cover this thing up just to kind of retain the heat. And so, folks, that's in a nutshell. Look, here's what I'm getting at. I know we live in a time, everybody's always asking about preparedness things, but man, this is one of the most important preparedness skills that nobody's talking about for the most part, because you don't need all those inputs that everybody says you do. All you need to do is walk with me one more time. You can take this, same process will lead you to this. Smells good, looks good. Under the microscope, this stuff is fantastic. I mean, it's exactly what you want. And the cool thing about it is, as long as you don't do anything foolish, you can turn this stuff into extract, you can turn it into teas, you can use it in your beds, and it's way more turbocharged than any of that bag stuff. Remember, we did a video testing all that stuff, and all of it was garbage. This stuff is the real deal, but that's how you get there, by starting with these raw components. And once again, you want a high diversity of materials as much as you can. Like I said, we've gone through it all before, but there's additionally other things you can put in there. And honestly, all the times you process your animals, this is where it goes. And I'm here to tell you, some of the best compost you're ever going to make is going to be from the animals that you harvest. Something about it. But look, there's so much here. It's so easy to do. Are you going to mess it up? Probably. But you're going to have to mess it up to get it right. And that's what it takes. All right, y'all, if you need any of the comfrey in here I was talking about, we got it at the website. Need any of the world's best deer repellent? It's called Bone Sauce. I make it. It's also at the website. EMP Shield, Heaven's Harvest, Harvest Right, freeze dryers, you name it. Just check us out down below. There might be something you need. If not, thank you so much for your support. We'll see you next time.